And welcome back to Iron Sports. Elaine Walker-Brown became just the third woman to lead a football association in Jamaica following a 41-39 win over former Vice President Ricardo Valentine at the weekend. This, of course, for the St. Catherine Football Association. Walker-Brown has also been engineering the growth of women's football in Jamaica and remains chairperson of the JFF Women's Committee. We welcome on set Mrs. Elaine Walker-Brown, new president of the St. Catherine Football Association.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Thanks.
Excellent. And it's a Meet the Browns kind of session here now.
Oh, yes.
All right. Now, you've been in office a couple of days. Has the reality of being president of the St. Catherine FA sunk in just yet, and only the third woman to lead a football association in Jamaica?
It's sinking.
Yeah.
It has not fully sunk yet, but it is sinking.
Yeah. All right. It's not new to you, though, because in terms of football administration, you were president of the Jamaica Women's Football Federation or Association way back in 1991. And as per FIFA stipulations, the Women's Football Association had to merge with the Jamaica Football Federation for Men. As per, like I said before, the FIFA stipulations. You all became one in 1998. Take it from there for me in terms of your sojourn in football administration in Jamaica.
Okay, I started really at Marvel UNN Sports Club. And I always want to highlight that because when I was at Marvel as a general secretary in 1990, Bob West was the one who told me that I could take on this challenge of going for the president of the Jamaica Women Football Association. And there was a lot of men like Dougal Campbell and Billy Masters who believed that I could do it. And I said, why not? Why not? If they believe in me, why don't I don't believe in myself? And I have them to guide me. So I took it on, and we ran a pretty good women's competition. It was not recognized. It was hard to come by. But the little time that I had from 1991 to 1998, I learned a lot. In 1998, we merged with the JFF, and then I became the chairperson of the Jamaica Football Federation's Women's Committee. And at that time, we had a support greatly from the SDF. I had Michael All giving me all the support. And then came Captain's Bakery. That when we started in 98 with SDF, we had 8 schools that participated. And we limited it because it was an inaugural competition, and we were just testing the water there and then. And then in the following year, we had 32 schools that came on board. Then came Captain's Bakery, and women's football soared from then. But in 1994, what happened, why we had to look seriously at the development of women's football, when we went to Canada and Montreal in 1994, trying to qualify for the World Cup, we got a whopping 10-0 from the US of A. And one of the things that I look at, if something was to go wrong with one of our players, we wouldn't have any players from anywhere to draw. And I look and say, where's the development? And we went into the school, and I see what happened now.
Yeah, and what a year it has been for women's football. Of course, we qualified for a first ever FIFA Women's World Cup. You yourself has ascended to president of the St. Catherine Football Association. But what does all this mean for women's football locally, and what kind of inspiration would you hope others would draw from what has taken place?
To be honest, before I got into this position, I had plans to have a women's high school league in St. Catherine. And one of the things for that, the support, honestly, that the minister gave the women's football, especially letting the girls feel so special with their qualification. And I'm in the parish of St. Catherine, where the Minister of Sports constituencies. I think it's only fitting that we get the girls developing seriously at that stage. So I had plans for that. And with this office of the FA president, it even gave me more room and personnel to work with, because I have the clubs and I have the women in the clubs, and I have the different part of the parish that we can pull from, and persons to assist me in getting them out. So it's really a big thing for women football. And one of the things that I look at also, what we have achieved from women's football, because we have a lot of girls that went off on scholarship, you know.
Right.
And when the girls qualify for the World Cup, in February, a team came down and they were scouting some boys. And the gentleman asked me, they had a free day the Wednesday, and he said to me the week before, he said, Elaine, why you don't show off some of those girls?
Right.
And I said to the GFF, just send out to Akilia, just send out some invitations to the parish, let's show off some of the girls. And I was stunned.
Yeah.
The amount, I mean, all the way from Bishop Gibson, from Portland, you know, they came out in such numbers. And I said, no, man, I have to get this properly structured.
Speaking of numbers, you won 51% of the votes from the delegates. It would mean that Valentine and Roy Simpson had 49% of support. How much of a challenge do you think it will be for you to lead with this knowledge that the support is pretty much split down the middle over there in St. Catherine?
It's not a challenge, Jeremy, because I am knowledgeable where administration is concerned. And one of the things that is that we have to ensure that our clubs properly structured. We have to get back the football attractive. We have to win back corporate. And we have to have a product so that corporate will come on board. And if it's not attractive, you're not going to spend your money.
Yeah, but from what you've seen and heard thus far, do you expect any problems for you in terms of leading from here on in? Because not everyone would have
supported me?
Right.
No problem. Yeah. No problem. I even have some of the men that were on the slate that is going to assist me over on my side. I don't foresee any problem because there wasn't any animosity. There wasn't anything untowards to talk about where the election was concerned. Yeah. So no problem.
You spoke of the leadership being stagnant.
Yes.
How do you plan to transform all this and just to change the entire outlook of St. Catherine football?
One of the things that I think damaged the parish is that when the FAA demolished the North, Central and Portmore League, and the limited resources that these areas have, they were not able to travel from one end, like from Linstead to Portmore, from Portmore to Old Harbour Bay. The distance was too much. They would normally stay in Portmore, and the top team two teams would come out and vice versa with the other group. So they would not travel till late in the competition. What happened, what this causes now is for clubs to pull out. So you find that there's not much clubs participating. There's not much youths. Right. Not much attractive. But when I use that, the clubs really endorse it to say that, yes, we are going back to our glory days. And one of the things that will happen, Jeremy, say for instance, Portmore, the communities are going to be behind the teams again. Right. You understand? The support is going to be there. So when they move to come to the Oval to challenge North or Central, you know, it will be a good rivalry. So we'll build back that support base and get the football going in the parish.
Funding is always an issue for Jamaican sports in general. But when it comes on to club football, even more so, the lack thereof. Yes. What are your plans for funding?
When I was campaigning, some persons have shown interest in coming on board with me. But one of the things that we can do, we can create ways of doing things. I remember I got 2 calls from 2 former national players, and they were so much behind me. And they looked at ways that we can do things to gain money. You know, we have the amount of artists we have in the park. We can run 5Ks. We can do cookouts. We can do so much things to raise funds to help with the development program in the parish.
And what of the corporate side of things?
Yes,
in terms of the business community?
Yes, because what are the things that they say that they'll do? That will show corporate that we are trying. Yes. So corporate will come on board. But we have plans to meet with the Chamber of Commerce in the parish because what is happening in St. Catherine does affect corporate St. Catherine. And if you look at the crime rate and you know the power of football, right. As a sports officer with the Institute of Sports, several times I've gone into communities that are divided and I use the football to bring them, or sports, to bring them back together. So we know the power of sports. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to know that I work in the parish and I live in the parish and the crime rate is so high in the parish. Through this administration and the game of football, we can help reduce and engage the youngsters in more positive activities.
Sounds good, sounds good. Another thing, where women's football is concerned now, only a handful of clubs from the parishes actually have women's teams at the club level. How do you plan on changing this somewhat? Because the fact is, you are a woman and you are head of one of the largest football associations within the country. Yes. So much will be expected where that is concerned.
One of the things that we talk about having club football for women, we can't go into St. Catherine, or we cannot go into any parish and just want to get club teams. We have to do development. And one of the things that I said, if you notice the Institute of Sports, at our primary competition, the teams must register at least 3 girls. And girls must always be on the field. So there goes our under 15 competition. Because when you scout all the parishes, you look at the amount of young ladies you have at that level. When you look at the high school, what I want going forward, and I see Portland did it last year with the Miss Vaz and the Portland FA, and I know that Mr. Grant is coming with a powerful program based upon that development program. That's the same thing we're going to do in St. Catherine. We're going to start the school. We're not going to tell the clubs that they must have women's team because there's no development there. There's no way they can get girls to play because we have not done that. So we're going into the schools. And what we want the clubs to do is try to adopt one of the schools. Yeah. That's the same thing for the youth program. The clubs need to go and get involved with the schools so that we can have this development program.
Time is upon us. At the weekend, as you speak of women's club football, there was some fights. Are you concerned about this in any way? We had at least 2 matches in which things got a bit violent, and it's not the kind of image you don't want to see for football in general, and even more so women's football.
That's a great concern, because one of the things is that when the clubs do that, or the spectators, they are killing the sport. Come back to corporate again. I don't want my product to be a part of that, because you're damaging my product and my brand. So if we're out there as football administrators and spectators, and we really love the sport, we need to desist from doing that.
Mrs. Elaine Walker-Brown, thank you so very much for joining us here on Iron Sports. By the way, an iconic moment for me was at the Women's World Cup, where you sat with the FIFA president, Mr. Infantino, in Jamaica, when, of course, we scored that goal.
Very
Jamaicans
nice
remember
man.
that for a while.